So, guys, welcome back, and it's a new topic that we have to handle uh, in error handling. That is exception chaining. Now, exception chaining is when talking about exception chaining. Just hold on, let me make it bold. We talked about exception handling, yeah, and assertion. Now, when I'm talking about exception chaining, it's a beautiful topic that you need to understand while error handling. So, exception chaining, it is kind of technique of handling exception by throwing a caught exception. So, you have an exception, wrapping it up inside a new exception and rethrowing it. So, the original exception is saved as a property of the new exception. Yeah. So during the handling of one exception, suppose you called it as X, it is possible that another exception B may occur. Yeah. So it is useful to know about both exceptions in order to debug the problem in a more detailed manner. Sometimes it is useful for an exception handler to deliberately re-raise an exception, either to provide extra information or to translate exception to an another type. Now, this particular exception chaining is possible from 3.x onwards. So any version from Python 3.0 onwards, you can be able to do exception. So if there is any unhandled exception inside an except section, it will have the exception being handled to it, including the error message. So how do we do that? Let me show you with an example or with an try Excel block. So I'll say try uh, open. I'm trying to open a file called there is a no there is a temp file doc.txt. Yeah. Now I'll try to handle it an exception if the file does not exist, saying that OS error. It will give you an OS error, and I'll say raise a runtime error, and I'll say it will give you an message unable to handle error. Yeah. So in this particular code, we are trying to open a non-existent file. This file does not exist. But this will give you a file not found error. Yeah. So it is not an OS error, but this will give you file not found error. Yeah. So it is detected by the except block. But while handling another exception is raised. So OS error is raised because of this. So let's see. Can see this? So here, no such file directory exists. So the temp file does not exist, which is a file not found error. Yeah. But during handling of the above action, another exception got occurred, which is about the OS error. Yeah. So unable to handle the error. So we were not able to handle the error because this particular error for this particular exception, we have not created any exception block here. Yeah. And because of which this error got ran and it raised this error unable to handle the error. Yeah. Pretty clear. So the raise from statement which we ran. Yeah. So if you use an optional from clause along with the runtime error that we have, it will indicate that an exception is a direct consequence of another. So this can be useful when you transform the raise statement. So I'll show you what happens. So what we do is we use the raise from statement. So what it does is, so the raise from error or raise from statement will help you to handle the particular error. So it's kind of token which will help you to. So let me run the same code, yeah, this particular code, and read the runtime error. I'll say from message, which we have run as a exception. So I'm just giving it as a message. Yeah. So here we can see we have the file not error, no such file error. So the observation was direct cause of the following exception runtime error. Yeah, which was it is giving me an error. Why it occurred? So this is giving me a file not found error, which was this particular statement. And it is giving me the where that a runtime error has occurred. Yeah. So this can be useful when you are transforming exceptions. So the token after from keyword should be the exception object. So this particular from, this is an exception object, which helps you to divert it to the right or the error which has occurred because of the runtime error. Yeah. Another thing that we can do is using the context and clause expression. So in order to check the exception chaining, so what has actually happened during the course of your error, you can use the context and clause expression. Yeah. So raising an exception in the except block will automatically add captured exception to the context. Yeah. But if you want to know the details about that particular context, we need to use the cause and context and clause keyword. So how do you do that? Just let me copy this. So we are using a try inside a try block. Yeah. So what we'll try to do is we'll run this try. We'll run in another try, which will handle the exception. Yeah. I'll say raise value error, and I'll say value error. I'll just print it. Yeah. I'll say accept value error as E1. Yeah. And I'll run a type error. So I'll say raise type error. I'll not run error. I'll say type error, and I'll mention it as a type error. You can take any error. I can take runtime error as well. That's okay with me. From E. So that is my exception that has been raised. And now for this particular type error as E2, I'm trying to get the context and the clause. I may also get print the exception was, and I'll is station of E2. Yeah, this is the context. So I'll say context of exception is, yeah, and below is the cause of the exception. So if I want to know in detail what has happened in this particular error, I'll try to use this context and cause keywords. Yeah, let me run this to show you what has happened, and then we can talk about the code. So here, let me see what has happened. Something wrong has happened. Try type error version. Another exception occurred. Try value error, which is this, except value error as even. That's what you're okay. I need to make this. Okay. Yeah, you can see this. So the exception was a type error, which has occurred this way. Here, the context of exception is a value error. Yeah, and the cause of exception is a value error. Yeah, so it has come from this particular error. Exception raised was a type error, but the error that has occurred from was this particular context. Yeah, that's why we got the cause and the context. So need to remember that uh, raising an exception in the except block will automatically add the exception block. So when you raise this particular error, it will automatically raise the context and the cause of the exception into even which we have selected. Yeah. So that's how we'll be able to understand in detail what was the error all about, which helps in this particular topic, helps in finding out the exact or deep dive into the error block and try to understand the root cause of the error, which will help you to close the error in a very fruitful way. Hope you like this particular topic. Hope you understood it. That's more important because this is a very important topic to understand. You can repeat, go through this topic twice or thrice to properly understand it because it's very important. Uh, Hope you like this video. Hope you understood it. Do share it across with your colleagues who want to learn Python and are prone to errors. Do comment if you have any views, feedback, or inputs on the examples or the explanation which is being provided, which will help the learners to gain more knowledge. And last not the least, but try to subscribe to my channel if you like to get some insightful videos directly to your inbox. Thank you so much.